In 1983, Casio shocked a world full of round watches by making a square watch and calling it a G-Shock. 4 years later, in 1987, Casio shocked the world again by taking the same square watch and making it round. Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Yes, indeed, change the world by making a square watch and then a few years later, change it back by making your square watch round. I thought I would do this one unboxing style today because I pretty much know exactly what's inside the box. But the eagle-eyed Casio anoraks amongst you will no doubt already have noticed that the two images I showed in the intro there aren't the original watches from the 1980s, they are the contemporary versions. That's the DW5600E, the square on the left, and the DW5750E, the round on the right. That is the one inside the box today. These are the originals from the 1980s. The 5000 on the left and the 5700 on the right. And if I show them all together, you can see just how little these have changed over the years. I say it a lot, how many pieces of 1980s design remain unchanged and still look good in 2023? Not many. Alright, let's get into it. It is somewhat ironic that they put a handle with care fragile on a G-Shock box when the watch inside is anything but. So, how did I miss this one? This isn't a new release, this is a 35th anniversary G-Shock reissue of the watch from 1987. Of course, this year, 2023, is the 40th anniversary of G-Shock, so this one has been out for 5 years already. I made a video last week and somebody commented and said, "Hey Jody, how come you've missed the 5750? So I looked it up, realised, yeah, how come I have missed it, and bought one. I paid 130 Aussie dollars for it. You can pick them up for a little bit cheaper than that, maybe as low as 115. Look at all of this stuff that I got here as well. But I wanted this one today, so I bit the bullet, bought it from Oz Digital Watch on eBay, and I paid a little bit more for it. I do note though that I got a 3-year warranty, which is not something you always get with an eBay G-Shock. You generally have to buy it from an AD to get that size of warranty. So what have I been missing then? It is going to be very familiar because it effectively is the same watch as the Square G, but in a round case. It has got an identical module, so it should all look and feel very familiar. The question becomes, which of the two feels better on wrist? So there we go, DW5750E-1DR. Casio always put the module in a rectangle there, the module number. So 3229, you can always look that one up easily online, get the instruction manual for it. So there we are, module 3229 in this round G-Shock. And just to prove it is the same module as the base model 5600, the Square G, let's flip it over and check what it says in that rectangle. There it is. 3229. It's the same module. And that should be pretty obvious from a simple glance at the two side by side because they look the same. In terms of functionality, the 5750 therefore has the basics. Everything you really need from a G, but not much else. So on, off, light mode and adjust buttons recessed in the usual positions. One single alarm which you turn on or off. There's also an hourly chime you can turn on or off using that top right button. Next press of the mode button and you're into a 24-hour maximum countdown. That can obviously be adjusted, a timer, and reset using the adjust button. Cycle through it once more and you have a stopwatch and you start, stop and reset again. And that is it. Day of the week, month of the year, date of the month, all indicated there, AM, PM indicator, and the time. One useful function I've always enjoyed from these basic modules is when you've got a stopwatch running, you've still got the home time ticking away in the small rectangle in the top right corner. Very useful if you're running or you're doing some cardio, long-term cardio exercise. I used to wear my Square G for marathons back in the day when I was fit enough to actually run them. In terms of dimensions, I measure it at its narrowest point across the diagonal at 42.5 millimeters, 13.6 mil thick, with a lug to lug. Effectively, you can see the crease there when it joins the resin band, when the case becomes a band of 48.5. Lug width not applicable. You can buy adapters to swap these over for NATOs or whatever you like, but I've never bothered. It just adds unnecessary bulk. As supplied on the resin band, therefore, it weighs in at 55 grams, 200 meters of water resistance, plus or minus 15 seconds per month from the module 3229 by Casio. And there we go, screw-on stainless steel case back, one screw in each corner, 50-cent battery, 5-minute job to replace them when the time comes. 4 to 5 years because it is a decent lithium battery that they put in these from the factory. And there we are, that's it on wrist. It may not look entirely familiar, but it does feel very, very familiar. That is exactly the same weight, I believe, to the gram as the base model square. It's the same band, clearly. It's the same buckle and tang as well. It feels the same. It sits the same. Yeah, it's pretty much the same, but a different form factor case. When I show you the two from the top again, it's clear that the square has the slightly smaller footprint. It just doesn't look quite as large. One other thing I noted, if you have a look at this, the kind of lip there, the shroud protecting the screen, slightly higher at the north and south of the square, quite small, quite a narrow lip there on the sides, whereas on the round, on the 5750, it is much deeper all the way round. There's actually about 0.5 millimeter difference between the thickness of the two watches. Yeah, there you are, it's pretty obvious. The square is slightly slimmer when I show you them from the side. And that's the overhead wrist shot. I always used to go for the squares because they were the smallest and most wearable of the Gs. I could totally get away with this one, kind of somewhere in between the square and the Casio, the GA2100, I would imagine. This one has a nickname, they call it the Sting, because apparently everyone's favourite musician from the 1980s used to wear this one quite regularly in the 1980s. Now, that may have appealed to you today, or it may not have appealed to you today, I appreciate. So am I going to dump all my square Gs and become a round G-Shock guy from now on? Probably not. I think I also forgive myself for not giving this one any attention up until this point. It is just so similar. A touch bigger, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. I guess it comes down to personal preference. If you just can't stand these kind of funny square/octagonal Gs, you prefer a more traditional round form factor to your watch, then go for it. It's the same. It's a great watch underneath. It's a great watch regardless which way you go. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. You're not short of G-Shock content on this channel. Click here or click here for more. I'll see you again in the next one.